With math on today. You will need your book. Go to page 128A. It will have a thermometer on it, like this, page 128A. Today we are going to learn how to read the thermometer. So yesterday we learned how to tell the difference between cold, hot, cool, and warm. If you remember that, cold, hot, cool, and then warm. We know that cold means like it's probably going to need a jacket, maybe some boots on, earmuffs. Hot, probably could wear sandals and a t-shirt and shorts with a hot day. Cool day, maybe a light jacket with a cool day, maybe a long sleeve shirt on a cool day. And then a warm day. It's pretty similar to a hot day, so you could probably have on shorts or maybe jeans and a short sleeve shirt. Okay, so we talked about that yesterday, how to identify each type. So today we're going to learn how to read the thermometer and how it relates to cold, hot, cool, and warm days. So this is a thermometer. This is an example of one, and on your page, on page 128A, you have an example of what one looks like as well. The purpose of a thermometer is to measure the temperature. It tells you how hot or how cold something is. Most of the time we use the thermometer to tell the weather. Majority of the time, like if you're watching the news and they say tomorrow it will be a high of 75, that means that's how warm or how hot it will be on the next day. Or if it's a low of 20, that's how cold it will be. And that's because they use thermometers to help them figure out the temperature. So inside of a thermometer, there's a red liquid inside of it. And the liquid is what determines the weather. That red liquid inside of the thermometer is called mercury. Okay? So the job of the mercury is to tell how hot or how cold it is and what exactly the temperature will be. The hotter it gets, the higher up the mercury goes. So as the day gets hotter and hotter, the mercury starts to travel up inside of the thermometer because it's getting hotter and hotter. But the colder and colder it gets, the mercury starts to go down, okay? So if you look at the thermometer, it starts with 0. There is negative degrees, but we'll just start with 0 on our thermometer. And 0 is probably the coldest it'll get, right? That's super, super cold if it's 0. Now, of course, you keep moving up, and so the thermometer moves in 10. So we have 0, then 10, then 20, then 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And like I said, the higher up you start to go, the warmer it starts to get eventually until it gets hot, okay? So whenever you measure temperature, you measure it in what's called degrees. So if you remember when we started measuring with our ruler, we measure in inches in our ruler or centimeters. Well, when it comes to measuring the temperature, you measure in what's called degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, does everybody see how I have this F here? That's degrees Fahrenheit. That's 0, or a dot, the circle here, Fahrenheit, that means degrees Fahrenheit. That's what you measure the temperature with. You say, if it's 20 degrees, you say it's 20 degrees. Okay, that's how you say it. You say your number and then degrees behind it. Okay, that's how you measure.
Yep, that's exactly it. That's 110.
That's how you measure the temperature, okay? All right, so look at your page on 128A. Does everybody have that page ready? Temperatures on the thermometer. Yes, okay. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is identify the different temperatures and what kind of day it will be. Now remember, the higher up you go, the hotter it gets, meaning the larger your numbers on the thermometer, the hotter it's going to be. The lower the numbers, meaning if we go closer to the bottom of the thermometer, the colder it'll be. All right, so let's look at this one. Let's look at the first line here. It's stopping at 30 degrees. Now that's the lowest temperature. Who knows, will that be a hot day, a cold day, a warm day, or a cool day? If it is 30 degrees, look how low, look at where 30 is. It's on the bottom of the thermometer. So what kind of day would 30 degrees be?
Cold?
A very cold day, yes. So on that line, put cold. Because 30 degrees will be a cold day. So that means anytime you measure the temperature around 30, so if you say 20 or 10 or 40, it's more than likely going to be a cold day. 30 degrees is a cold day. Did everybody write cold on the line next to it?
Yes.
All right, so next we have about 60 degrees. That's where the next line is pointing to. 60 degrees. So would that, we already have a cold day, so 60. Would that be a hot, a warm, or a cool day?
A hot one.
Or a cool day. That's the three options. Look at it. We just went from 30 to 60.
Cool.
Cool. That would be a cool day. 60 degrees is a cool day. Might need a light jacket or maybe a long sleeve for that type of day. 60 degrees is a cool day. Okay, let's look at the next two. We have 80 degrees. Will that be hot or warm?
Warm.
That's gonna be warm. Actually, that's actually hot, but yeah. That's a warm day, so you can probably enjoy some sunshine on an 80-degree day. And then 100 degrees, that's the highest up we can go on the thermometer, well, the one I have here. What kind of day would that be?
Hot.
Of course, a hot day. Anything around 100, above 100, 90 degrees is hot. And in Louisiana, that's how hot it gets out here. It gets almost like 100 degrees. Super hot.
That is super hot.
Okay, so that's kind of the range of cold, cool, warm, and hot. These are like the numbers where if it's 30 degrees, it's probably going to be a cold day, 60 degrees a cool day, 80 degrees a warm day, and 100 degrees a hot day. Okay, so now let's start to read our thermometer. So go ahead and flip this page, but go to the back of this same page. Go to the back of this page, so you'll have two thermometers.
I got my.
Yeah, so you might have to turn your book a little bit, but go to the back of this page.
The numbers that go higher than 100.
But we won't usually go above 100 most of the time.
That
Though.
would be too hot. That would be too hot.
Okay, everybody went to the back of this page, 128B. Make sure it says 128B at the top. Okay. All right, so now we are going to read temperature, okay? So before we do it in the book, hold on a second. Let's practice on the board a little bit, okay? So I'm going to put a temperature amount up here, and I want to see who can tell me how many degrees it is. So look at my temperature up here. What number did my temperature stop at? How many degrees is this thermometer? How many? 40 degrees. 40 degrees. Good. Okay, what about here? Hold on, let me do another one. Okay, what about here? How many degrees? 70 degrees. Good. So that's how you read it. And you just look at where it stopped, where the mercury stopped. So let's look at the first thermometer. Okay, it's already filled in for us. Where did it stop?
30.
So put 30 degrees at the top of the thermometer. There's a line, an empty line, and that's where you need to put 30 degrees because that's the temperature. If you looked at the thermometer, it says 30 degrees. All right, so underneath that same thermometer, it says, what type of day is it? So if it's 30 degrees, what type of day?
Cold.
Cold. So circle the word cold. All right, are we ready to move on to the next thermometer?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have to fill this one in. How many degrees at the top does it want?
100.
Yes, at the top of the thermometer it says 100 degrees. So go ahead and you fill in. Start at the bottom though. You always start from the bottom, that circle part at the bottom, and shade going up. So you're going to shade all the way up until you get to 100. That's where you stop. When you're finished, could you show it to me on the screen? All right, so that's how we fill it into 100. So when you were shading in, you should have colored. You start at the bottom and you work your way all the way up until you get to 100, and that's where you stop. So that's how it is to either fill in a thermometer or to identify how many degrees it is on a thermometer. So on your workbook page today on 128, you will have an example of a thermometer. This one will be filled in for you. You just have to read it. I'm sorry, you have to shade it in. I think it's like to 50 degrees, okay? All right, so that is it for math today.